Doom is the king and father of all FPS shooters. Without Doom, we wouldn't get Halo, Call of Duty, or any other FPS shooters too. Ever since it was released in 1993, it had a huge impact on the video game industry, even coining a term called Doom clones, as back in the day, FPS shooters were called Doom clones. Even to today, in 2024, it still has a huge impact. Doom is a massive franchise now and is highly recognizable. From the weapons, the iconic sounds, the demons, and of course, the Doom guy. Doom will always be here no matter what, even when we get the chance to go to Mars. Possibly someone on Mars has probably played the original Doom over there too. But of course, Doom has not stayed the same over the years. Like an example in 2016 when Doom had a reboot. This was the 4th installment in the Doom series. Well, main installment, as there was other Doom games but they weren't really connected that really well. Well, until Doom Eternal when Doom 64 was connected to that. But anyways, Doom 2016 returned to the original roots of what made Doom, Doom, which you just run and gun and shoot every demon in sight. Of course, for 2020, Doom Eternal enhanced that experience too, making it more fast-paced and more double the action. And so those are the modern Doom games. As in the past ones too, well, they were a little bit slow-paced for the time, but also fast-paced during that time too in 1993 and in 1994. But still had a massive impact no matter what, as this was the main game to go buy a PC for. Even back in the day, Microsoft tried to buy Doom because Doom was originally more popular than the Windows operating system. Of course, later on they got their wish when they bought Bethesda. But just like with new Doom and old Doom, it was fast-paced action, no matter what. But after Doom was released, id Software went to go make Quake and the rest of the Wolfenstein series. And so Doom was dormant for a little while, but until the new technology jump happened, as they were going to remake Doom. And it was going to be a massive jump into the series too, in terms of technology and gameplay. The thing is, for Doom 3, that wasn't fast-paced action, as this game went to a different genre change altogether, as Doom 3 became a horror game. Well, and to go to more of the sub-genre, it became a survival horror game. Now this was a massive genre shift. For Doom 1 and Doom 2, it's more run and gun and shoot anything that stands by. But now you have to be careful, as you're no longer a badass anymore. Well, you still are because you still do kill demons without breaking a sweat and don't even react to it. But to this, many people were a little bit off-put by this because it was just a massive switch out of nowhere. Or well, but I would like to say it didn't play that well into the power fantasy because in the first Doom and Doom 2, you're more of a badass, and Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal continue for that on. For those, you're an unstoppable killing machine. It's kind of weird because in Doom 3, you still kind of are an unstoppable killing machine, but it's a little bit different. For me, the Doom guy in Doom 3 reminds me more of Isaac Clarke from Dead Space and Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil 2. For all these characters, they have to survive in this nightmare. In each varying degree, but this just makes them more badass. Either they were a trainee or just an ordinary person that's not even fit for combat, but they still manage to win and survive. Just like the Doom guy in Doom 3, which in turn he's now called the Doom Marine. Anyways, let's go back in 2000s when all of us were most likely not born yet. As 3D technology was progressively growing, it was getting better by each year. And id Software followed that momentum too. With high stakes at the table now since Half-Life 2 got a showreel and shut off its engine and everything, the whole gaming industry was gonna change. It was gonna be for the better. But the thing is, Half-Life 2 and Doom 3 released in the same year. So in other words, Doom 3 kinda competed with Half-Life 2. They didn't really compete with each other as they were released 3 months later apart from each other. Both did try to get the similar engines of what they wanted to do. It seemed physics-based too. Of course, as we're speaking right now, Half-Life 2 is more fondly remembered of the physics engine it had. Still, Doom 3 sold really well. Despite its massive genre change, it did sell really well as people were anticipating for another Doom game, and this one delivered. In some ways, Doom 3 does something slightly better than Half-Life 2. Well, I'm gonna show it off for you for this video. This was the time that Doom became a horror game, for a little while. Some people didn't like this era of Doom and just went back to playing the old games using a lot of mods, or even waited for Doom 2016 to come out. Still, Doom 3 is still a solid entry in the Doom franchise. Of course, to give more context, I'm only talking about Doom 3. I'm not going to be talking about Doom 3 BFG Edition or the Resurrection of Evil. I'll probably do a video on those later. Anyways, when Doom 3 was shown off for the first time in the showreel, it catched a lot of heads as it was really innovative for that time for that showreel, or well, for the prototype. It showed off the engine really well and showed off Doom 3 really well too. Of course, this was a prototype that this was not going to be the final product. Some things are bound to change. Still, this was a massive remake, so everything got redesigned. And for Doom 3, it takes on more of a realistic take, different from Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal altogether. It's slightly realistic, as it still uses a lot of hell elements in the game. In turn, let's get into the gameplay and see how Doom 3 hold up as a horror game. And when you get into your first mission, well, it's different from all the Doom games altogether. and in the other ones, you come right after the Hell invasion started. So you really never got the real feeling of how the first wave went down when the whole base went to hell, no pun intended. Doom 3 starts off, well, calm before the storm, before the Hell invasion started, as now you're freely allowed to explore it without any interruption, and well, you get to see how humanity is doing so well on Mars. Of course, you could thank the UAC, the Union Aerospace Corporation, for that. This time they're more of a mega corporation running everything around, as they're more lenient on some certain rules that they can do since they have much of an influence on it. So that's why they're able to do some of these more outlandish experiments on Mars. Anyways, back to the game. Doom 3 does something different from Doom 1 and Doom 2 as it takes more of a story perspective first. As in the first two games, well, story wasn't really there as much. It was there in the background but wasn't really focused on. As for Doom 3, it's kind of focused more, as there's more cutscenes, more dialogue, and more people to interact with. As you're no longer by yourself, as you can interact with other people, but in the end they still died due to the Hell invasion. As you arrive on Mars City, you're given a PDA, more personal log, as back in the day PDAs were supposedly going to take over the future, but the iPhone came out and well, the iPhone is still here and has influenced many smartphones to this day. For the PDA, well, it's a fad device as it's no longer popular. But anyways, the PDA holds your emails and everything with every PDA you collect throughout the game. Throughout the game there's lockers and well, you need to read the emails or sometimes hear the audio logs to hear the codes of what for the lockers to unlock them, as they have extra supplies in them that will help you throughout the journey. But it is up to your choice if you want to seek out these lockers. But as you go through Mars City, you're given a task to find a scientist. But as you go along the way, some of the employees talk about how weird the base has been acting lately, or how some certain sectors seem like alive or like there's spirits around, or the fact that many people have gone missing or went crazy altogether. These conditions started to ramp up. It doesn't help with the fact that some of these tests mess with the base too, as it knocks out some power and causes a lot of interference with the electronics on the base. Though something doesn't seem right on this base as we enter, as there's more people being more paranoid as ever before. Also to the fact that it's too quiet on the base, almost like a powder keg is about to explode, or something bad is gonna happen. Also too, for the mission, you have to find a scientist as apparently he's gone rogue. And so you're sent off to one of the old sections of the Mars base. Before you do, you have to get your equipment first. And it starts off the classic Doom fashion where you just get the pistol. But an extra item you get is the flashlight. Since this is a horror game, well, you're gonna have to use the flashlight a lot. Well, for your first time, because I played Doom 3 a lot of times, so I know where usually most of the areas are. Doom 3 is a childhood game as I usually played on the Xbox 360 when it was backwards compatible for the original Xbox. But anyways, the flashlight is one of the most important pieces in this game, as the lighting is more impactful in this game and it still holds up to this day. Even beating out some modern games too in terms of the lighting. But a lot of people didn't like this feature, as you have to usually swap to the flashlight, and well, you can't use your gun when you're using the flashlight. Which is a good complaint because you have to leave yourself vulnerable, well, some areas get really dark too. But I think this adds to the survival horror aspect of this game. Yes, I can agree it does get annoying, but it does add a certain feel to the horror as you have to check what's in the dark, as there might be any demons or any extra goodies that could be hidden in the darkness. And this will stay throughout the whole game. And most of the times you don't really need it. But in the BFG edition they have it shoulder mounted, but have it for a limited time. But for me, I still prefer the Doom 3 version. But as we find the scientist, he warns us about something. But as we find the scientist, something weird goes on, as he needs to send a message to where they're testing the portals are, as apparently he confirms that the devil is real. Oh well, but this happens. And so begins the Hell invasion. And I've gotta say, the build up for this is really well done, as literally and figuratively hell breaks loose. Well, this is all scripted, but it does a really good job at doing it really well. The ambience, the sound design, everything. It makes it more scary. Also too, you can hear from the radios that all the soldiers getting killed and also all the other people getting killed too, asking for help. And also too, the fact too that the recent scientist you were just talking to just got possessed right in front of your eyes. So you're really immersed into the game, as I think not many horror games do this really well. The first time when I played this as a kid, it really got me really scared. But another reason it got me scared too, because back in the day I used to be afraid of hell. And also too, in general, horror games altogether. So as a kid I was more of a scaredy cat. But for Doom 3, it's one of my first completed horror games I ever played. I played other horror games besides Doom 3, but Doom 3 was one of my first completed ones. As for the other ones, I would just chicken out and just quit at the main menu or even at the first level. But as I was a big fan of Doom, I wanted to complete Doom 3. Well, I was in for a ride when I was young. Like I said earlier, it really immerses you really well into the Hell Invasion. It gives you that sense of helplessness as you're just one single Marine. It's now up to you to handle the Hell Invasion and stop it. As for the Hell Invasion, you get the normal type of demons, zombies, and also some of the new redesigned enemies. Basically, every enemy has a cutscene. Like for example, one of the most iconic enemies is the Imp. You see him in this new design. And we gotta say, well, he's one of my least likely new redesigned demons. The iconic ones, but there's one that's worse than this one. But still, it's an okay design for the Imp. It's like they give him an otherworldly design, not from hell, but from another world, an alien planet. Also too, I also like they gave him almost like spider-like eyes. It adds more uniqueness to the Doom 3 Imp. But like I said earlier, sound is important for a horror game. It brings in the immersiveness really well. Without it, it doesn't make it a horror game, nor the player can get scared. But even survival horror games fall into this section that it stops being scary when you're handed a gun. So Doom 3 falls in this category, but does something slightly better as it has scripted events that keep you on your toes. Some of the jump scares are really good and well, we catch you off guard. But only some of them, and I'll only show some of them in the footage for I'm not showing my voice, but you can see my gameplay of where I get scared. As you go through the base, you see the carnage of the Hell Invasion. You see recently possessed people, and you see people getting eaten or getting killed. Also too, you can hear it over the radios too as you go through the Mars City, in the first portion of the game. As later down in the game, you hear nothing, it's just complete silence on the radio. And also too, you can't hear the music too, as it's more ambience based. So gone is the kick-ass music from Doom 1 and Doom 2, as it's more ambience based of, well, you can hear it in some parts of the video, as I have it playing in the gameplay portion of this video. It still does have a kick-ass theme song in the beginning, as you can only hear it at the main menu or towards the end of the game. As you go through the Mars base, you see a ton of dead people and some survivors. Only a few though, as they were able to hide during the Hell Invasion. In the background, like in the radios, you hear fighting from all the other squads that are still trying to survive and trying to regroup. And you're given an order by the Sarge that you have to regroup with Bravo team. But along the way, you get some more spooky stuff that happens to you. As well, Hell is trying to mess with your mind as it's overtaken the base, and has more of a spiritual influence on you. For example, one of the most famous scenes is that when you go to the bathroom and look at the mirror.
The UAC is here to help you. Psychological services are free and confidential.
And there's not just moments like this, as there's other more moments that mess with your mind. Almost like Hell's trying to break you and try to possess you, but of course you're a badass that you don't even care about this. But before the Hell Invasion, if you go through the audio logs, people talk about some of these weird events. And for some of the people, it got to them and made them go crazy. And they did some certain actions that gravely injured themselves and others too. Before they had no clue what it was, but now we know, as it's Hell's influence transferring over to our world. Sometimes they're not even that drastic, sometimes they can be subtle, like in this one level that you can see eyes in the darkness, and it disappears when you get close to it. But there's other moments like this where it's hugely influencing you, but I will show them later on to the video. As I want to go back to the demons, as I already talked about the Imp, but there's more cutscenes that show them off more. Like for the first time when you encounter the Pinky. Of course it's a scripted event, but it's a really good job at it too. New design for the Pinky adds to the terrifying factor to it really well, as I think it's really good and really done well. Reminds me more of a bulldog, but I like that in the back you can see cybernetics on it, which shows the Hell's influence over the real world. It's like with regular Doom that some of the demons were infusing with cybernetics, as the UAC tried to experiment with them, or that the demons took their technology on their own, and well, they tried to better themselves with it. This is a unique Pinky design, as they never brought it back ever again. But for the scripted event, it does a really good job at it, as it tries to break inside the room you're in. It tries multiple times, but of course it's kinda dumb that it can't really break the door open. And so it goes to proceed to go through the window, and well, it will try to kill you, but you kill it first. But as you go throughout the game shows its age, as some of the mesh textures don't really hold up really well. Remember, this game came out in 2004. Of course, some of the models might not hold up as well. It's not a major complaint, as they still do their job of acting really scary and adding to the horror factor. But what does hold up very well is the lighting, as mainly the engine for Doom 3 takes more emphasis on the lighting more. Like I said earlier in the video, lighting is better than most modern games today. Even too, back in the day in 2004, it was really advanced for the time, and even beat Half-Life 2 in terms of lighting. But of course, Half-Life 2 did a better job in physics, and especially for one section that takes advantage of the lighting really well too. So in this section, you have to follow a scientist as he has the only source of light. Well, it's much brighter than your flashlight, so you have to follow him no matter what and kind of protect him. In this section, sometimes the lights can go out with the electromagnetic pulse. And of course, the demons are in the shadows, so each time the light goes out, they go try to attack you. Section is really done well, as you have to be very close to the scientist in order to see some of the demons that try to get close to him. And you must not let him die, because if he dies, well, that's your gone source of light, as you have to use a flashlight and you're left defenseless. But as you make it to the end, while he ends up dies, as one of the imps jumps right on him and kill him. Still, it's a very cool section for part of this game, as it shows off more of the lighting engine in this game. But enough of the lighting, let's go back into the Hell invasion, because if you go deeper into the game, Hell tends to take over some parts of the base. Apparently, one of the groups of the Marines talk about that there's this weird overgrowth that's growing on the base, and it started to grow since the Hell invasion started. As we go to one section in the office section, we go to Malcolm Bertruger's office. We see this weird fleshy overgrowth that's growing inside his office, and it's taking over more of the environment little by little. But the weird thing about it is that the overgrowth is only growing in his office. Where else too? Of course, you get a demonic symbol with a pentagram on the floor too. It's really weird because he's been acting weird since the start of the game. But this is foreshadowing in later parts of the game as we get to reveal of what he did. The more this overgrowth becomes more intense as we get closer to where the source of the invasion came from the Delta Labs. As the Delta Labs hold the portal technology. Our job to shut down the portal and stop the Hell invasion. This was the main cause of the Hell invasion in the first place. Because of course we weren't supposed to poke our heads into this new dimension, which is Hell, and well, we did, and we suffered the consequences from it. But as we get more deeper into the base, more creepy stuff starts to happen. There's more demonic influence going over to the base, since the Delta Labs were the main center point of it. What I always liked is it always keeps us on our toes. It's a sense of helplessness. And of course along the way we get introduced to new demons. Like the introductions for them are really good, like for the maggots when you first see them for the first time. The raves.
Stay here. Isn't safe. We better move.
The cherubs. The Revenant. And finally, Incubus. The Incubus is not really seen throughout the whole game. It was more of the Hell invasion, what they were doing to the rest of their survivors and what they were doing for the first time since the start of the Hell invasion, as it's just been a couple of hours since it started. And practically most of the base is mostly empty as all of the people are dead. And this just happened in a matter of hours. We don't know the exact amount of how many people are on this base because, well, it's called Mars City, so it might have been a sizable colony or a sizable research facility. In a matter of hours, a lot of people died, and everyone was still armed to the teeth, but they still died to the demons. Either they got killed or most of them got possessed. We see more of the casualties when we go to the Delta Labs, and we can see the whole section is covered in blood. There's messages written in blood too. Another terrifying thought about this too is that there's skeletons here. But the thing is, the invasion just happened hours ago. That means the demons stripped everyone's tissue down to the bone. And there's a lot of skeletons. And a lot of blood too. Along the way, Malcolm Bertruger was the start of the invasion. He's the one that caused it first. He has a pact with Hell. He has powers to possess more people. So it is our job to stop him and stop the portal. But as we make it to the portal where the Delta Labs are, we get introduced to one of the most iconic enemies in Doom. He has a massive redesign, the Hell Knight. I've got to say, the Hell Knight is one of the most iconic redesigns in Doom 3, and hell, he's even part of the cover art too. They did a really good job on the redesign on the Hell Knight. The original Hell Knight is just a reskin of the Baron of Hell. In Doom 3, they made him more unique. It's more of a hulking mass. I'm glad they kept the design for Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. In Doom 3, they're more as a boss. But as you defeat them, Bertruger has one last trick of his sleeve, as he activates the portal again. And well, you get transported to a new realm.
Welcome to my domain. Behold the shape of things to come. The time has come for the forces of hell to escape their prison and drive mankind into darkness. Your darkest fears will soon be realized as your soul burns in hell. There's nowhere to run. I am everywhere, and you will never find the thing you seek.
Well, welcome to the main highlight of the game. You're in Hell now. And this game perfectly captures the feeling of Hell. We see skull architecture, we see a lot of fire and lava, and of course we hear the souls of the damned. Makes it feel like we're in a different dimension or a whole entire different realm. Really sucks that Hell is only for one mission. I wish they would explore more of it. Would have made it more impactful like in Doom 1. Still, it's still really good ambient level. And as we go more deeper into Hell, we get to see more of the environment of Hell, as we're on a floating island or floating rock. And there's others too in the background. We hear more souls of the damned and even crying throughout the whole level. Also too, some of the demon appearances in Hell look very different. Some of them have more of a burned texture to them, for the imps and for the Hell Knight too. And also too, some of the possessed people. But this plan kinda backfired for Betruger. There's another reason why we need to go to Hell. We need to get the Soul Cube. Apparently, there was an ancient civilization on Mars. Well, they discovered portal technology just like humans did too. The reason this ancient civilization died off was because they discovered the portal to Hell. Apparently too, Mars was green too at one point, but the Hell invasion completely made the planet uninhabitable. And so some of the survivors of the alien civilization created the Soul Cube in order to defeat the evil, and well, they did. And as their last dying breath, they tried to warn other people not to reopen the portal. Of course, the UAC ignored this and reopened the portal anyways, as Hell made a pact with Betruger. He gave them power and domain over Hell and some of the demons. So that's why he's hell bent on a Hell invasion on the real world, as he wants Hell to invade Earth. In order to stop him, we gotta use the Soul Cube, and it is our job to find it. We get to see more of the hellish environment. Things like this take of Hell more than Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. I think it has to do with the Doom 3 ambience because it really immerses you really well that you're in Hell. And I think this is one of the longest levels as it takes a long journey just to get the Soul Cube. Also too, there's a ton of enemies that stop you along the way. But as we make it to the end of the Hell level, we see the Soul Cube. But it gets taken away from us as there's a demon guarding the Soul Cube, as it does not want us to get it. So it begins the next boss fight in which we have to defeat the Guardian of Hell, in which we do. And we get the Soul Cube. And I've gotta say, I know our character's a silent protagonist, but imagine all the stuff he's going through. Literally the only survivor here and he's the only one that's doing everything, and he just went into Hell and he came back from it unscathed. I think his mental health was pretty impacted after going through all this, as we're still not done with the journey as there's another portal to Hell. As we come back to the Delta Labs, Trigger says that there's another portal and that this is the portal from the ancient civilization. So we must go to the excavation site in order to finally end this nightmare. And as we go along the way, the overgrowth on the base seems to grow more intense, and also too more the hellish influence too. In some certain parts of the hallways, well, it feels like a mirror of hell. And also along the way, we would realize that we're the only last survivor. The Sarge who gave us the orders is now possessed and turned into one of the demons. Once again, it is our job to put him down. I've gotta say, he's one of the most scariest boss fights as he has the BFG. And we all know what the BFG does to the other demons and now it's used against you. But still, you're still the silent protagonist badass and you kill him in the end. And then so it's off to the excavation site. Of course, more demons spawn in trying to stop us, but we still kill him in the end. And well, we reach to the final part of the game. So we go down the elevator and get more into more of a hellish feel around here too. Even though we're not in Hell, we're almost deeper into the core of Mars. It seems like this is more the hellish influence on the alien civilization that wants to store themselves with. And once we make it to the bottom, we go to this pathway. And we get one of the most iconic bosses ever in Doom. The Cyber Demon. He's the last one that's defending the portal. This is the final portal that will stop the Hell invasion altogether on Mars, and hopefully save the Earth too. As Betruger did a distress call and called all the rest of the fleet to come to Mars to help them out. We can use the ships to go to Earth. As we battle against the Cyber Demon, well, we don't battle it as this boss fight is really underwhelming as you don't use rocket launches or anything. You have to kill demons alongside in order to use the Soul Cube. So when you kill demons, it charges up the Soul Cube, and you have to throw it 4 times at the Cyber Demon. And with the last throw, you kill the Cyber Demon, and in doing so, you stop the Hell invasion on Mars and save practically everyone. Towards the end of the thing, they send a team to recover you, as we finally know that you're the only survivor. But the thing is, what happened to Malcolm Betruger? Even though we stopped him in the end, where did he go?
What about Dr. Betruger? He's nowhere to be found, sir.
Well, we see him in his new demon form called the Maledict, one of the most badass names in Doom. Of course, the game ends off there. In the expansion Resurrection of Evil, that's where we get to defeat him. And we beat the game. That's Doom 3. So that was it when Doom went horror for a little while. Of course, it kept on for a little bit with Resurrection of Evil and BFG Edition, which they added a new DLC called The Lost Mission. But this was a very short time period in Doom. I said earlier not many people liked it, but some people liked it too, as it was a massive drastic change from the regular Doom style. Still, in the end, it still holds up to this day and is a good game, and I recommend you guys should go out and play it. Of course, there's two different versions. One, you have to use the flashlight on your own, and there's one that's where it's shoulder mounted, which is in BFG Edition, and has updated graphics and everything too. Or you can play the original version from 2004. Also 2, it still has a good modding community as there's still people making mods for it. After Doom 3, BFG Edition, and Resurrection of Evil, Doom was on a massive hiatus. Many people were anticipating for the 4th installment of Doom, and well, that came with Doom 2016, which became a massive hit, which was a soft reboot into the series, which let go of all the horror tactics and went back to its original roots. So in a way, Doom 3 was like a small experimentation of what they wanted to do if they wanted to make it more horror-like, and well, I think they did a pretty good job in that. I think it does a horror aspect really well, even though despite it being survival horror where you have a gun and sometimes it cannot be scary, but this game keeps you on your toes, despite this game being very old and still using scripted events. But still, I think it holds up to this day. I did say in the beginning that I was probably going to do a video on Resurrection of Evil and the rest of the Doom 3 stuff, and I will. But I think that's enough of me talking about Doom 3. Also, if you made it to the end of the video, thanks for sticking around. And if you enjoyed this, you can watch my other videos too, where I talk about other stuff like Call of Duty Zombies. Well, you'll see the pop-ups toward the end. But anyways, I hope you guys have a nice day. This is Mazer Argo signing out. See you guys in the next video.